So super premium smartphones like this here, Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra, are snazzy and all of that, but they also cost an absolute bugger load. And if you're absolutely skint or you've got a really expensive booze and manga habit like myself, then that's just no good at all. No worries though, because even semi-skint folk can afford a really good phone these days. For a budget under 300 quid, you can expect brilliant battery life, impressive gaming performance, dependable camera tech, and premium features that you won't even find in those stupidly expensive iPhones, like a 120Hz display and, oh look, an apps drawer. So here's my personal pick of the very best budget smartphones in spring 2021 that you can buy yourself for under £300 here in the UK. And these phones I've all personally tested and reviewed myself. You can see my reviews and coverage right here on TechSpert. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, including the best budget phones, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first up, for just 250 quid, you can buy one of my favourite affordable phones of 2021, the Redmi Note 10 Pro from Xiaomi. It's a smart looking slab with Gorilla Glass 5 plated up front, and it is splash resistant too in case you get a little bit overexcited. That layer of Gorilla Glass is protecting a gorgeous and rather sizable 6.67 inch AMOLED screen, which for the price is proper spooge worthy. Stream some HDR shenanigans in Netflix and you'll be treated to crisp contrast and lifelike visuals. And that display also supports a 120Hz maximum refresh rate as well, which for an OLED screen at this budget price point is frankly stunning. You've got a stereo speaker setup, you've got dependable Bluetooth as well, and you do have a headphone jack with a good bit of high-res audio support too. Sploosh! Of course, how well you'll actually get on with the Redmi Note 10 Pro or any Xiaomi smartphone depends on your general feelings towards Xiaomi's MiUI launcher, which in its 12th iteration I'm really embracing because it's got more of a stock Android vibe with a veritable feast of bonus features chucked on top. I'm talking the likes of the all-encompassing control center and a proper one-handed mode, as well as the ability to stream YouTube audio while the screen is hibernating. And general customization is a lot easier than with stock Android as well, but of course MiUI can be a bit janky in places here and there. But if you need to know more, then go check out my in-depth Redmi Note 10 Pro review, and I've also done a full dedicated video on MiUI 12 as well. The Redmi Note 10 Pro's Snapdragon 732G chipset can handle everyday gaming shenanigans, no worries, although there is no 5G support sadly. Battery life is solid, and I really enjoy that 108 megapixel rear cam too, which does a blinding job for your family pics and home movies. And as I say, my full review is live right now, so go check that out if your fancy has been well and truly tickled. Next up is Xiaomi's also brilliant Mi 10T Lite from last year, which packs 5G smarts and specs that are almost as eye-catching as this rather fetching and slightly bonkers paint job. For just a mite over 200 quid at the time I shot this video, you grab yourself a mighty 6.67 inch IPS display with a silky smooth 120Hz refresh rate. And that slick full HD IPS screen is great for gaming as well as just saying bollocks to work with an all-day anime marathon. Meanwhile, the 750G performance means you can blaze through titles like PubG and Call of Duty with the graphics set to ultra beefy and still keep a gorgeous fluid frame rate. And that 750G chipset also comes with a built-in 5G modem, which is great news if you're actually lucky enough to have 5G coverage around your parts. And even if you don't, well, the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite serves up all the other stuff you would expect from a smartphone around this price point, like a headphone jack and NFC support. The 4820mAh battery has got plenty of capacity, but not quite the biggest in this roundup, but you'll still get 2 full days of use if you don't go nuts. In fact, the only weak link is the quad camera, led by a 64 megapixel primary sensor, which sometimes struggles a bit if conditions aren't quite perfect. Although for the most part, I found that I got very respectable look at photos and home movies. And definitely do not sleep on the absolutely brilliant Poco X3 Pro, which only just hit the UK for a budget of 229 quid. Sometimes you can see it reduced to around the sort of £200 mark in sales and specials as well, and it packs some incredible specs and features again for that sort of price point. It's essentially a reinvigorated version of the Poco X3 NFC, which I absolutely gushed all over in my best budget roundups of last year, and now you've got boosted performance thanks to the Snapdragon 860 chipset stuffed inside. This can handle absolutely anything you need, even a bit of Genshin Impact if you keep the details on low to medium settings. Like the Redmi Note 10 Pro, you've got a 6.67 inch Full HD Plus display, although this time it is IPS rather than OLED tech. But you still get reasonably punchy colours, plus an adaptive refresh rate that maxes out at 120Hz. You've once again got a stereo speaker setup here on the Poco X3 Pro, plus a headphone jack and reliable Bluetooth streaming to boot. There's NFC for your contactless payments, there's a really reliable and fast working edge-mounted fingerprint sensor, basically everything you bloody need. And I really like the 48 megapixel main camera sensor as well, which captures sharp pictures of even the most squirmy of subjects, as well as respectable 4K footage. In fact, beyond this slightly garish design, there's not really much at all to dislike about the Poco X3 Pro. It's proper lush. If you don't mind the lack of OLED tech, which obviously a lot of rivals in this roundup do offer, then definitely jump on board with that Poco X3 Pro, especially if you see it at that reduced rate. It's absolutely mind-boggling value. Now, if you like the sound of that Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite, you really fancy yourself a 5G smartphone on a budget, well, definitely check out the Oppo Reno 4Z. In early 2021, Oppo dropped the price of this phone to just 260 quid to compete with the likes of the Mi 10T Lite, and for that cost it is an absolute bargain. Like Xiaomi's blower, you get a sizable 6.6-inch IPS display with Full HD Plus resolution and that silky smooth 120Hz refresh, and it's an absolute banger for watching movies or playing games. The MediaTek Dimensity 800 chipset stuffed inside the Reno 4Z can handle anything you chuck at it, including gaming on the go, plus the built-in 5G modem also means a proper bit of future-proofing. That 5G support stretches to dual SIMs simultaneously, which is nice, and of course you've got all of the standard budget phone features that you would hope and expect to be on there, like the NFC and the headphone jack. And while the 4000 mAh battery seems a bit piddly compared with some of the rivals here, you'll still enjoy all-day life from this Oppo phone. And the Reno definitely wins the prize for the most camera lenses, with 6 of the buggers crammed on here. That 48 megapixel primary sensor is Sony's ever-dependable IMX586, so you can capture bright, attractive pics even in fairly testing conditions. You've also got an 8 megapixel ultra-wide angle lens for a different view when needed, plus a pair of monochrome lenses to get some lush portrait shots. Overall, the Oppo Reno 4Z 5G is a very strong proposition for under 300 quid, certainly should not be passed over. Now, Motorola is another manufacturer that's well worth watching at this budget price point, and one of the best smartphones that you'll find under £300 from them right now is the Moto G 5G Plus, which, as you might have guessed, comes with full 5G support again. Qualcomm's Snapdragon 765 chipset can deal with everything you chuck at the Moto G, helped along by the clean stock version of Android. This Motorola blower is the perfect antidote for anyone not impressed by Xiaomi's heavy MiUI launcher. The display this time around is a 6.7-incher, again serving up clear Full HD Plus images, and it is an HDR10 special. But the defining feature here is that 21:9 cinema-wide design, which means you'll get a proper widescreen view of your games or your movies. And you can basically sack off work and enjoy Netflix or some tasty Call of Duty action all afternoon long, thanks to the huge 5000 mAh battery, which will keep you murdering strangers online well into the wee hours. You've got NFC for your Google Pay shenanigans, you've got a headphone jack, all the features you'd come to expect from a budget smartphone these days as well stacked in there. But if you do want to shave a little bit more off the asking price and you're not too bothered about the 5G support, well, you can grab the likes of the Moto G9 Plus and also the Moto G30 for under £200 in the UK right now. I will be including those in my roundup of the best budget phones under £200, which should be going live very shortly indeed. Otherwise, I have reviewed both of those phones right here on TechSpert. And anyone who's after a blower on a tightish budget should also have a squint at Realme. And this here Realme 8 Pro is one of their latest and freshest budget smartphones, which you can grab for 279 quid here in the UK. The 8 Pro is actually reasonably compact and light at just 6.4 inches and 176 grams, and it also sports a rather understated design. Understated apart from the massive f**k-off slogan branded right across the arse end, that is. Realme UI is the launcher of choice here, naturally, and like MiUI, it is a bit of a hefty bugger. You do see occasional bits of jankiness here and there, but it does also offer a bugger ton of extra bonus features, including the usual one-handed shenanigans and bonus customization options. And like many of the other phones in this budget blower collection, you've got micro SD support to expand the onboard storage, and NFC support as well for your contactless payments. That OLED screen is a blinder, although sadly it does max out at 60Hz refresh, unlike most of the rival devices we've already covered. And the Realme 8 Pro also makes do with a single bottom-mounted speaker. There's no stereo action here. The Snapdragon 720G chipset can deal with everything up to and including games like Call of Duty and PubG, but you will want to look to the likes of the Poco X3 Pro if you want to play more demanding titles. Well, the 4500 mAh battery delivers strong returns, easily lasting a pretty full-on day. So overall, I've got to say the Realme 8 Pro definitely ain't quite as impressive in the specs department compared with a lot of the other phones that I've already covered in this best budget smartphone roundup, and it is towards the upper end of that £300 budget price point as well. But if you spy a great deal on it, then I've still really enjoyed my time with the Realme 8 Pro. There's lots to love here, so go for it. And last up, you can also grab yourself a bit of Samsung Galaxy action for just 250 quid in the form of this rather fetching A32 5G. This is yet another 5G budget blower, as the name kinda spoils, but this time it's using the MediaTek Dimensity 720 chipset backed by a rather measly 4 gigs of RAM. You will see a fair bit of everyday slowdown, unfortunately, and the Galaxy A32 5G is rather lacking in the specs department compared with some of the competition. For instance, the display is a simple 720p PLS affair with 60Hz refresh, a serious disappointment at this price, even if it proves fine for passing an hour or two with a bit of enjoyable ultraviolence online or a spot of movie action. The fans of Samsung smartphones will be right at home with the One UI launcher, which packs in a lot of Sammy's usual tools and features, including a good bit of Knox security action. And that 5000 mAh battery will last you a full day on a single charge, no worries, helped by the energy efficient chipset and of course that basic display. The 48 megapixel main camera is decent enough for your family pics as well, although you will struggle a bit if conditions aren't great. So overall, if you're a Samsung smartphone, then this is one of your best options at this sort of budget price point, but otherwise I'd say look elsewhere. And there you have it, that is my roundup of the best budget smartphones you can grab yourself for under £300 right now in the UK for spring 2021. As I say, I've personally tested and reviewed all of these smartphones, so definitely go check out that coverage if you want a bit more in-depth detail. And of course, the likes of Xiaomi, Oppo, Realme, they're launching fresh new budget smartphones every bloody week at the moment, so definitely please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell if you want to see more budget blowers that might be good for you. And if I missed out your own personal favourite best budget handset right now, definitely clue me in the comments down below. Have yourselves a fan-bloody-tastic rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you!